and thank you so much for tuning in to the Mark King Properties YouTube channel, where we talk about all things from how to sell your house quickly, how to sell to a professional cash buyer, and so much more. Here you'll find videos that are instructional, helpful and really useful when it comes to navigating the property market in general. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure that you subscribe and click on the little bell so you get notified every single time we upload. Today we're going to be tackling a topic that is quite confusing, to be honest, and it's one that we've heard a lot of chat about in the property market, and it is the modern method of auction. Now we're going to be dissecting this topic, letting you know exactly what's involved when it comes to fees, the process, who it might be geared towards, talking you through all the points that you need to consider when questioning if this is the right type of thing for you to enter into. So if you're ready, let's get to it. One of the first things to consider is that the modern method of auction has a long lead time. So unlike selling to a professional cash buyer like Mark King Properties, when we can complete a sale within 7 working days, with modern method of auction, it can take months for a buyer to even be able to register the interest in the property. And that doesn't include the 4 to 8 weeks of exclusivity before contracts can be exchanged. So that is such a lengthy time frame to have to deal with, and it's something that should definitely be considered. We find that it's not something that a lot of people going into the modern method of auction expect. These kind of timescales mean that from the moment you list your property to the moment you complete, you're looking at a time frame of around 4 months. The next huge factor of all this is the costs that the seller will have to pay up front. These are things like a solicitor's pack they will need to prepare, an EPC. Unlike a traditional property auction, buyers do not actually make a binding exchange of contract simply by winning the auction alone or winning that bid. What they're actually doing is paying a non-refundable reservation fee. So again, no comfort, no certainty. It's widely known that with landlords and investors, who are technically the bulk of auction buyers and bidders, that the buyer fees and the premiums are very, very high, and often over £5,000. And that is even on moderately priced properties as well. So of course, when you consider this, it's going to produce a lower bidding rate because there are all these costs on the side that you need to factor in. The property is never going to sell for what it normally would because buyers have to consider all of these potential additions. You also need to expect to set the reserve price of your property at around about 25% lower than its actual value. This can cause a lot of anxiety, to be quite honest, because the reserve prices are traditionally very, very low, and this is done to attract bidders. And then the guide price is actually 10% lower than that. So these are all factors, again, that any potential buyer and seller would need to be made aware of. Another thing we see that is very common is that estate agents actually encourage sellers to list via the modern method of auction. And this is of course because it serves them. It gives them a fee, it gives them a nice payment at the end of the day, and it's business for them. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right thing for the seller. At the end of the day, they're trying to make money for themselves and they're not really considering their clients' needs above their own. And the reason for this is because the only real parties that are set to benefit are the estate agent and the auction house. And this is because the commission is split between the two parties, and the commission tends to be a lot higher than what the estate agent would have made if it was a traditional open market sale. So again, it kind of plays into that fact that are they doing what's best for the client, or are they doing what's best for themselves and making a profit? And again, that is something that you need to be made aware of. Whilst low value properties and those requiring redevelopment tend to be popular at auction, many other properties actually sell quite poorly in this environment. For example, properties that are in a good condition, properties with low rental yields, that's the same with leasehold flats, family style houses. All these kinds of properties and situations prove to be very unpopular at auction. Many of these auctioneers are national and they may not have properties that are being listed in an auction within that same area. They also may not have the staff available to carry out things such as viewing requests, which is a huge disadvantage with your property's marketing prior to the auction. The regulatory body that we are actually ourselves governed by, which is the Property Ombudsman, have criticised the modern method of auction, citing the need for transparency, which is, we know as a business, is so invaluable when it comes to the trust and relationship you have with your client. Also, it's been stated that there is a lack of transparency when it comes to the disadvantages of this kind of auction for both buyer and seller. So in conclusion, before you sign up to have your house listed in a modern method of auction, I always suggest for you to explore and research genuine, professional property cash offers. Whoever you choose, make sure you do your research and consider selling your property to a professional cash buyer like Market Properties. You need to be informed, you need to go in there knowing exactly what you're getting yourself in for, and also you need to research the extensive amount of fees that are involved in this type of auction. You need to consider the financials of it all, you need to make sure it's financially viable for you to sell your property in this way. All of these things need considering before you even think about listing your property in this type of auction. Guys, that is a complete rundown of what you can expect if you were to list your property in the modern method of auction. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments box down below. If you've had this experience, if you've sold your property, or if you've had an experience of a modern method of auction, let us know in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. Also, make sure you give us suggestions on what you would like us to talk about in future videos. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of our future content, including our 2-Minute Tuesdays, where we break down the heavy topics in the property market into a nice, neat package for you to enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next one.